Think all Volkswagen engines are built to last? Some are solid steel, others are mechanical nightmares waiting to explode. We're talking about motors that run forever with basic care, and others that fall apart before 100,000 miles. If you've ever owned a VW or you're thinking about it, this is the one video you can't skip. After 20 years under the hood fixing them, swearing at them, and learning from every mistake, we know exactly which engines to trust and which ones to run from. This is Das Auto Diaries, and we're not here to sell you fairy tales. We're not influencers. We're the ones who get called when the check engine light won't go away. Hit subscribe now if you want the truth Volkswagen doesn't put in the brochures. Here's what you're getting. First, the 4 worst VW engines ever made. The ones that cracked, failed, or caught fire more often than they should. Then we'll switch gears and cover the 4 best. The ones we drive across a continent without a second thought. Every engine comes with a story, a warning, and a tip that might save you thousands. Let's go. The 1.4 TSI EA111. Let's start with one of the most infamous Volkswagen engines of the modern era. The 1.4 TSI EA111 was a small turbocharged petrol unit used in the Golf, Polo, Seat Ibiza, and Audi A1 from the mid-2000s. On paper, it was the future. Compact, fuel-efficient, and in some versions, boosted by both a turbo and a supercharger. But in practice, it turned out to be a maintenance nightmare. The biggest flaw? The timing chain. Volkswagen replaced the belt with a chain and called it lifetime. But that lifetime often ended before 100,000 kilometers. Chain stretch and tensioner failures became so widespread that forums started compiling lists of affected serial numbers. We've seen these engines rattle like tractors at cold start and throw error codes while still under 60,000 miles. Then came the oil issues. Faulty valve seals, piston rings, and PCV failures meant owners were constantly topping up oil and hoping the dashboard stayed quiet. And if you had the twin-charge version, add overheating and brutal repair bills to the list. We knew one Golf 1.4 owner who thought he was saving on fuel. After the timing job and oil leak fixes, he could have just bought a GTI. This was a car that overpromised and underdelivered. Still have one? Don't ignore cold start noises and never trust the oil light. These engines don't forgive neglect, they punish it. Let's move to the next. The 2.0 TDI EA189. This is the engine that made headlines for all the wrong reasons. The 2.0 TDI EA189 wasn't just the center of Dieselgate, it was a mechanical time bomb hidden under millions of Volkswagens and Audis around the world. It powered everything from the Golf and Passat to the Audi A3, Skoda Octavia, and even vans like the Caddy. And while the emissions scandal exposed the software cheats, the real pain was under the hood. EGR valve clogging, DPF failures, turbo issues, and oil pump problems turned a supposed efficiency hero into a maintenance disaster. The exhaust gas recirculation system was infamous for getting coated in soot, causing rough, idle, and limp mode. We've seen engines shut down mid-drive because of clogged EGRs that choked the intake system. The DPF, meant to trap particles, would clog up fast if the car did too many short trips, triggering costly forced regenerations or complete filter replacements. And some of the early EA189s had oil pump balance shaft failures that led to catastrophic engine damage. Combine that with post-Dieselgate software updates that made things worse instead of better, and you've got a recipe for regret. We had a customer with a Touran TDI who came in with a turbo failure, only to discover the root issue was a slow clogging DPF that had increased back pressure for months. The new turbo lasted less than a year. If you still drive an EA189, the only way to survive is preventative maintenance. Clean the EGR early, monitor DPF status, and don't trust the long oil change intervals. This wasn't just an emissions scandal, it was one of the worst engineering trade-offs Volkswagen ever made. The 1.820-volt turbo, early versions. This engine was supposed to be a legend. The early 1.820 valve turbo, found in late 90s and early 2000s, Golfs, Passats, Audis, and the TT, was one of VW's first major modern turbo petrols. It had a smooth power band, real tuning potential, and that unmistakable spool sound that made enthusiasts fall in love. But the first versions of this engine had a dark side, especially before 2002. The narrow oil passages, small sump, and questionable cooling layout led to massive oil sludge buildup. Combine that with long factory intervals and owners using the wrong oil, and you had an engine that was literally choking itself to death. Head gaskets failed, cam lobes wore down, bearings ran dry, and the worst part? Most of the time it happened silently. There was no warning light, no rough idle, just a strange tick until the engine seized. We saw this on a first-gen Audi A4 where the owner had followed every service interval but used semi-synthetic oil. At 100,000 kilometers, the head gasket failed, coolant mixed with the oil, and the engine was toast. This engine taught us that the right spec oil in short intervals are non-negotiable. If you treat it like a modern motor, it dies. If you treat it like a vintage one, it survives. The early 1.8T isn't a bad engine. It's a high-maintenance relationship. The 3.2 VR6, a mechanical masterpiece that came with a hidden cost. The 3.2-liter VR6, found in the Golf R32, Touareg, and early Audi TT, is one of the most iconic Volkswagen engines ever made. But under that glorious sound and smooth delivery hides one of the most expensive timing chain setups ever put in a production car. The chains are at the back of the engine, against the firewall, meaning what should be a simple service becomes an engine-out job. When the guides wear out or the tensioners fail, you're looking at a repair bill that can hit 4 digits even before labor. Add that to the known issues with coil packs and PCV systems, and suddenly this engine becomes a high-maintenance diva. We've seen owners delay chain service for just a few thousand miles and end up with full rebuilds. The VR6 sounds incredible, but it makes you pay to hear it. Owned one of these engines? Tell us in the comments. And if this helped, hit subscribe for more no-fluff VW advice. Now let's talk about the engines that got it right. The 1.9 TDI ALH. Let's start with a true icon. The 1.9 TDI ALH is the diesel engine that turned Volkswagen into a synonym for reliability across Europe and North America. Found in the Golf Mk4, Jetta, Bora, and early Passats from the late 90s to the mid-2000s. This engine became a legend thanks to its simplicity, durability, and efficiency. It used a rotary pump injection system, avoided common rail complications, and came with no DPF, no fragile injectors, and no fussy electronics. What you got instead was a cast iron block and mechanical toughness that could eat up bad fuel, survive neglect, and still run strong past 500,000 kilometers. These engines weren't just efficient, they could return over 20 kilometers per liter with ease. They were also forgiving. We've seen engines that ran with the wrong oil for years, ones that missed belt changes or suffered cheap repairs and still kept going. And yet, if you treated it well, it rewarded you with outstanding longevity. The only real weaknesses were EGR clogging and the need for timely timing belt changes, but those are cheap and easy to deal with. Keep the fuel clean, change the belt every 100,000 kilometers, and you're golden. In terms of cost per kilometer, nothing comes close. The ALH wasn't just reliable, it was almost unkillable. The EA888 Gen 3. This is the engine that finally proved Volkswagen could build a modern turbo petrol engine without reliability nightmares. The EA888 Gen 3, introduced in 2012, powers everything from the Golf GTI MK7 to the Audi A3, the Skoda Octavia VRS, and more. It came after 2 shaky generations and fixed nearly all of the problems that plagued its predecessors. Gone was the excessive oil consumption of Gen 1. Gone were the fragile tensioners and weak pistons of Gen 2. What you got instead was a smart, robust, and versatile engine that could deliver 220 horsepower or more with minimal stress. The use of both direct and port injection helped reduce carbon buildup, the redesigned PCV and cooling system improved durability, and the engine ran smoother across the entire rev range. We've seen these engines go well beyond 200,000 kilometers with nothing more than routine oil changes and the occasional PCV or thermostat check. Even when modified, they've shown impressive resilience. Sure, early models had some water pump issues, but the fixes are well known and most examples on the market today have had the updated part installed. If you want this engine to last, use high-quality oil at 10,000-kilometer intervals, monitor the cooling system and PCV valve, and don't push it too hard when cold. It's that simple. This is the gold standard of modern VW petrol engines, refined, punchy, and genuinely built to last. The EA211 1.0 TSI. Here's a small engine that punches way above its weight. The EA211 1.0 TSI might not sound impressive on paper. It's a tiny three-cylinder turbo found in the Polo, Golf, T-Roc, and even the Up GTI. But don't let the numbers fool you. This is one of the smartest and most efficient engines Volkswagen has ever made. Lightweight, cleverly engineered with an aluminum block and integrated exhaust manifold, it delivers surprisingly strong performance for city cars and compacts, and more importantly, it's proven to be incredibly dependable in the real world. Unlike the early 1.4s, it doesn't suffer from timing, chain nightmares, or chronic oil thirst. Instead, it gives you smooth power delivery, excellent fuel economy, and fewer headaches, all from an engine that fits in your backpack. We've seen these reach over 200,000 kilometers with basic maintenance and a light right foot. The key to longevity is simple. Use the correct synthetic oil, don't skip the spark plugs, and let it warm up properly before pushing it. Sure, it's not a performance monster and it won't impress your car buddies at the track. But for daily driving, commuting, and long-term reliability, this little three-cylinder has earned its place on the podium. The 1.8T 20V post-2001 revisions. Now we're going back to a classic, but only if you get the right version. The 1.8T20 valve engine, especially the revised versions after 2001, was one of the best turbocharged four-cylinders of its era. Used in the Golf GTI, Audi A4, Passat, and TT, this engine balanced performance, durability, and tunability in a way that defined a generation. The early versions had their share of issues, especially with sludge buildup and coil pack failures, but after Volkswagen refined the oiling system, updated the PCV setup, and improved software management, it became a beast with brains. What made it great was the forged internals, the responsive turbo, and an architecture that loved to be modified. We've tuned these engines to over 250 horsepower on stock blocks without drama. And yet, in stock form, they're smooth, reliable, and long-lasting. If you keep the oil clean and don't cheap out on filters, common quirks like cracked vacuum hoses and cam seals are easy to fix and well documented. Just avoid the temptation to overboost without upgrading supporting parts. We've seen countless of these hit 300,000 kilometers with nothing more than discipline and good synthetic oil. It's the kind of engine that makes you want to learn how to wrench and rewards you when you do. So now you know. Not all Volkswagen engines are created equal. Some are built to last through snow, stress, and abuse. Others were barely built to survive their own warranty. But now you know the difference. If your engine made this list, treat it accordingly. If you've got one of the good ones, protect it and it'll return the favor. If you've got one of the bad ones, don't ignore the warning signs. Because when it comes to engines, knowledge is the difference between a trusted companion and a ticking time bomb. And if you want your Volkswagen to go the distance, we're talking 300,000 miles and beyond, there's a video you need to watch next. Check out how to make your Volkswagen last 300,000 miles right now. His is Das Auto Diaries. We tell the truth behind every hood. Hit that subscribe button and stick with us for more no-fluff automotive stories.